with me. Fly, fly away with me.
They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. Level 1 is when people talk about people. We know that as gossip. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is level 3 studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what is possible. Welcome to level 3 studio, where we feed your body, feed your mind, and without a doubt, feed your soul. Let's take a toast. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I enjoy your company. Have a good conversation. Cheers. So man, this show is really broken down into 3 segments. The first 2 tend to blend fairly well. Segment 1 is, what is it that you do? Practical and tactical. What do you spend your time doing? What do you put your mind to? What do you exhaust your energy on? What are the strategies, the mindsets, the hacks that fuel you? Segment 2 is true north. Why do you do what you do? What inspires you? What motivates you? What impact do you hope to have on the world? We'll take a little break, enjoy some food from Chef Jay, and then segment 3 is called the Innovator's Toolbox, where we go around and everyone will leave one thing behind that they would put into the Innovator's Toolbox for the youth of tomorrow. So we'll get right into this, man. Segment 1, what is it that you do? Practical and tactical. Davin, I'll start with you, man. What do you spend your time doing on a day-to-day basis?
So I spend my time, my day job is business development program coordinator at AllCap. AllCap is a community development financial institution. We are basically trying to find ways to get access to capital for our underserved communities, entrepreneurs, folks that cannot go to a bank and access traditional lending. We're trying to find creative ways to get money into their hands so that they can create wealth and opportunities for their families and their communities. So
the first question that comes to mind, man, as I think is defined in a lot of these spaces, is how do you all, whether you do it, kind of hard-nosed defining or loose terms, how do you define underserved communities?
Honestly, under-resourced. I think, and I've been having this conversation a lot with folks. I mean, like last night, my grandma was like, I was just joking around, like, what about if I find a house on Truce? And she's like, no, you ain't living on Truce. And I was like, Grandma, it's that mindset alone that created a lot of these inequalities that we see today. It's the fact that people aren't willing to go and spend their time, their money, their energy in a certain community based on what they've heard from someone else. They may not have ever experienced these things on them for themselves, but because someone said, or they saw it on the news, or it's just kind of been passed down from generation to generation, saying like, don't cross truths.
Right.
And so basically that mindset alone has created a lot of the social challenges that we see within those communities, not just here in Kansas City, but all over the country, all over the world. So
man, image is such a big part of life, man. How things are portrayed, how we build an image for something. Is that something you guys take into account on your day-to-day with how you implement things, with how you grow, like the image and I'll go as far as even say the branding behind what do you do? Like how do you play that out?
Because we're basically a lending institution, we try to find new ways at looking at whether someone's credit worthy, right? So instead of focusing on the credit score, I'm going to consider their character. Are they going to be honest with me? Are they going to be transparent? I let people know, like, look, I can work with bad news, but I cannot work with surprises. So
right. Let me know.
I'm not sitting here to judge you. I'm sitting here to try to help you. So the more information you can provide me with, the more you can paint the picture of where you come from, what you're going through, and what you need to get you to where you want to be. That's what I need to know so that I'm able to take that and fight for it. Break
that down. What is a calculated risk for you, for the organization you work with? What are the things you guys really measure?
I mean, obviously the traditional sort of, your credit report, credit history, your debt to income ratios, debt to credit ratios. We also look at the financials. Do you have the income, the support to actually make monthly payments? Because, where we see a lot of the financial crisis is that, like, the payday lenders, they didn't care about whether you could pay them or not. They're going to give you that money because they know you.
Right.
They don't care what.
They don't care what the interest is, and
problem
Yeah.
The interest rates are crazy because that person, that's the last thing they're worried about, what the interest rate is.
They're just trying to get the money.
What they're worried about is the money so that they can go do whatever. And then that's where, you're late on one payment, it snowballs get. The reason I brought that up is because we don't want to overextend anyone. If we see that,
y'all are really conscious of not putting people in a position.
Yeah, we don't want to put them in that position because we know what that outcome is going to look like.
Right.
So there's been many cases where I say, look, you need to go clean up some of these things, pay down some of your debts, or maybe we look at doing a smaller amount.
Create
this relationship.
But really build a relationship before you. Yeah. Waira, man, the brief conversation we had, man, I caught a glimpse of this idea that you've had some experience in investing, not just financial resources, but investing your time, investing your energy. Like, how do you look at investments for yourself right now?
I think that's actually really important to denote the differences between resources and resourcefulness. And the number one thing that I've learned is that there's a finite amount of resourcefulness that you can have. And really the investment is how do you figure out how to increase that resourcefulness? And that comes down to the sense of well-being. So my background is I lost 125 pounds when I was 15. I became a personal trainer, got obsessed with the idea of personal development and transformation. And along the way, I've learned more of how do you develop yourself, how do you develop your toolkit so that you can become ultimately who you want to be and do the things that you want to do. And in terms of investing resources, I look to what things can I invest in so that I can be more present on a daily basis. And part of that is knowing what you need to know, because if you're confident, then at any moment you're going to be able to execute, make the right decision.
Right.
Finding out what is it that you don't know that you need to know, so that you can know who to reach out to, where to look, what to learn, and then having that confidence so that you can put yourself out there and know that even if you make a mistake, that you're going to be able to persist and find the right answer.
Man, as young men, especially the young men that have taken the time out of their schedules to come here, to be present, to be a part of this, I think we all can be on a common basis that edifying ourselves is a necessity. Like, to become better each day, to grow each day, to put things in order. But how do we really figure out what the process of edifying ourselves should be? You know what I mean? Like, if I were to wake up tomorrow, right, and I say, you know what, I'm going to redirect myself to make sure I spend my time, my days, my energy edifying myself. What are the next few things that I should go out and do?
The way that I would look at that is define what it means to be better. Because can you really be better?
Right.
That kind of inherently describes that there's a deficiency in you, that there's something wrong with you that you have to overcome or be better, right? Overcome. But it's not the sense that you need to wake up every morning to go out there and make yourself better. It's more so that you need to strip away the junk. Like, what is it that is standing in the way of you being the best man that you can be? And for me, that was discipline. You know what I mean? I think discipline and dopamine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Without discipline, you can't really aim yourself in the right direction to know what you need to do. And without doing that, you won't get the dopamine spikes that you need. People come to me, and the number one thing that they ask me is like, how do you teach willpower? How do you teach motivation? And that's not necessarily the truth. It's a lot simpler than that. And that is, if you complete a task, you're going to trigger a dopamine response in your brain. You're going to feel good, and that's going to make you want to go further. You know, the reason why I was able to lose that weight was because I just happened to do the right thing, so that the first week I lost 9 pounds. And I was like, well, if I could do this.
If I could just repeat this, the Steve Harvey method.
Right.
You seen him break that down? When he said, you know how to make $1 million? Have y'all seen that? He just breaks it down. He said, man, if you know that you got this much time, this much energy, this much resource, and he gives you this, double it. I don't care. I don't have the time. I double it. And if you can figure out how to double it, double that. Once you figure out how to double that, double that. And he broke it down. He's like, that's how I made my first $1 million. I just kept doubling my energy and my investment. But I think such a powerful part of that is The junk, man. That's so true. Ryan, man, I'm a venture man. I feel like you're one of the people that you probably like 3% body fat in terms of this, man. But do you feel like you can identify what the junk is in your life?
Oh man. I mean, it's not hard to spot. If it delays you.
If you're honest with yourself.
Yeah, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It delays you. In my opinion, we're always supposed to be in a place of growth. And whatever stunts that growth or stops it or delays it in a lot of ways is the things that you need to change. Point, period. It's not. We overcomplicate it and try to hold on to things. You know what I mean?
Try to justify it.
Yeah, make up excuses and hold on to it. I mean, I've done it. I'm not speaking from a place of you should do better, but more so of I've done it wrong a lot of times too. Right?
Being willing to share those experiences or what?
Oh man, sure, man. I used to smoke weed like a bad habit.
Man.
Seriously, like it'd be bad, man. And so in a lot of ways, it had to be a real transformation of, man, I got to tell myself something different. I have to, because if not, I'm going to think about me smoking.
Right. Was it an escape? Was it something that you thought would help focus in? Like, what was it that allowed you to identify it as junk in your life?
And see, I don't necessarily take it as junk. That's a whole different conversation. I think it just delayed some things that needed to be in more of a prominent position that weed was taking up. And so in a lot of ways, man, priorities, putting things in necessary order was a thing I didn't do, and that's more important than maybe a habit of weed, right? Is that I didn't know where to put the weed, right? It had to be far down the line and take care of the top 10, right? Master the top 10, then you can worry about 12, right? Then you master the 12, you get to 15, right? You just starting, like I was talking to Jay, it's like the goal is to start to show people themselves better. Right? And so most of the time the junk is the things that we tell ourselves is junk. Right? For a while I got mad about my mom not raising me the way she raised my little brother. Right? It was nurturing, cuddling, it was nice. I say all the great things, right? Yeah. And not to say that she didn't say great things to me, but I internalized it different because I seen something different, right? But one day I had to understand it was in what I didn't have that made me who I should be. Right? That maybe I wouldn't have as much drive as I do if I got that. Right? Maybe I wouldn't have as much love for other people if I got that kind of love from my family. Right? And so in a lot of ways, it's like the things that you are put in front of that you have no control over, the biggest thing is you just not looking at it right. Right.
Like, but reshifting that focus can be so painful.
It can, but it's something that you can't get away from. It's either fix it or die with it. Period. There is no. I hate maintain.
Like just keep on keeping on.
Man, listen. It's either stay on it or stay in it.
Break down the difference.
What I mean by stay on it is meaning this: stay focused, right? Regardless of how dark it gets, because it's a part of the process, right? But even when you're working out in the form of like transforming your body, it's going to be painful. There's going to be times where you have to commit to working out and maybe don't see the results that you like or that you want, right? But in some form or fashion, you're going to have to say that I didn't get here overnight, so I'm going to have to commit to the process. So if you don't stay on it, you're going to stay in it. And what I mean by staying in it is the shit, right? And so
just stuck.
And so we've all seen somebody trying to run in mud and they get nowhere fast. And before long, they all messy, right? Their whole body is covered in dirt, right? And so it's beginning the process of learning how to strategically step in dirt to not make a mess so you can get where you need to be.
Davin, we were talking about this, man, the amount of things that you're privy to, exposed to, involved in, man, it's so beautiful. But the way he's breaking that down is essentially like, how do you decide what to focus on, man? You know, so much, it can almost be drowned in opportunity. That's what's on the other side of that is you put yourself in a position to really win, and now it's like, okay, how do I refocus and align myself to know exactly where I'm trying to go?
Yeah, I mean, you're so spot on with that. And honestly, I don't spend enough time personally thinking about how do I
focus all of this? Yeah.
What should I actually give my energy to between that and like, I don't know. I don't think about it, but I think all of my experiences leading me up to this point have kind of navigated me and helped me naturally kind of decide. I don't have a scientific way of doing this,
right? But if it
certain
feel
level of
right,
trust.
yeah.
Just telling
Experience.
hey, like for me, like I understand, like I can immediately, because I've talked to so many people that are in a position of need of capital, whether that's for business or for school or for whatever it is. I know that folks that are really about their business are actually going to
Are about their business.
Yeah. About it.
Yeah.
They're gonna be persistent. If I forget to hit them up, they're gonna hit me up and say, "Hey, you didn't hit me up with that. What you said you were." Like, those are the people I know.
So let me ask you on the other way. What are the telltale signs for you, whether for yourself, for those around you, that I am, that they are, that we are pushing in the right direction?
I think for me, because I'm a man of my word. So if I tell you I'm gonna be there or I'm gonna do something,
I'm gonna do it.
I do it. And if not, I own up to it. You know what I mean? Like I think there's too many times you're talking about that junk. Let that junk get in our way of staying true to who we are. And
you know, this has been crazy, man. But one of the biggest things I've been working on that has been hard for me is in just the language of things. It's easy to say, my bad. It's just the language of it is easy to say, hey, my bad. It's a little more difficult to say, hey, big dog, I apologize. But it's really hard to say, Davin, I'm sorry. Something about saying I am sorry is like you're stepping to a place to say, I'm owning whatever, hey, my bad, you know.
And I recently heard, because I always read about, I'm trying to better myself every day. If I'm going to be late to a meeting, I don't show up and say, I'm sorry for being late. I say, thank you for your patience. Because that shows that you got confidence in yourself and that you appreciate their time and that you didn't take that.
Yeah, you never, I've heard that as well. You never want to apologize. You never want to. You never want to apologize.
Yeah, because I showed up like 10 minutes late to a meeting. I'm like, thanks for putting up with my bullshit.
Putting it more on the table.
And we were off.
Right, just putting it one. Put the
After
one
that,
thing,
it's off to the
one
next.
thing I've learned is the
sure.
fastest you can put the truth on the table in an honest way. Like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's where the situation is. I apologize. Is how we move forward, man.
I don't want to hear the junk. I don't need to hear the junk.
Why do we put all that up? Dude, I want you to keep breaking that, man. Because interesting enough, last week we were talking about resourcefulness, and you said there's a finite amount of resourcefulness that you can have until you need to add resources. Like, how do you feel that out? How do you feel out that space?
The way I know how is by can I cuss?
Yeah, man.
By fucking it up.
Yeah. Oh shit.
That's
Fuck
the
it
only
up.
way.
There we go. See? You mean freaking?
Edit up.
Okay.
I don't know. Can we?
Can you freaking edit that, please?
I don't know.
All right. So
Edit it.
Go with it.
I grew up as an obese individual, but where I had my confidence was in my mind. I knew that any assignment that I had to do, any paper I had to write, that I'd be able to accomplish it, and I was very confident about that fact. And I sort of took for granted my intellectual ability to get myself out of a problem. And moving forward through college, that stayed true. Moving into my business in the beginning, that stayed true. But it got to a point where I relied too much on that and not enough on the building blocks of a business, which should be discipline, accountability, the small things that you do that make a big difference, and sort of walking before
You were good at getting yourself out of trouble.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I went in and basically I went from doing a couple $100s in sales a month to figuring out how to run an ad campaign, I did $100,000 in 2 weeks. So I'm like on top of the world, like my life just changed. Like called my mom, tear running down my eye, like
Mom, I made it.
yeah.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
But the thing is, I didn't know anything about customer service or fulfillment or what could go wrong.
Got ahead of
in the
yourself.
supply chain.
Yeah.
So I sold all those as pre-orders, and those pre-orders didn't come through because the manufacturing facility we were working with, they couldn't fulfill the orders. So literally, like thousands of dollars of refunds started to go through every single day. And the reason why I know that I can say there's a finite amount of resourcefulness is it got to the point where I was literally working 18 hours a day, pushing as hard as I possibly could with everything, and it wasn't enough.
Right.
And it got to the point where after I got to an okay position, I was completely burnt out. There was nothing left. Like, to the point where there's not even an upside. Like, the amount of money that I could make isn't even worth it anymore because of just the utter lack
Pure
of
exhaustion of
energy
it.
that I
Yeah.
had. And so I kind of took a step back and I realized, like, okay, this wasn't about the money, and it's not about the person I thought that I would be if I could, provide for my family or get a nice car or whatever it is that these dreams are that you create when you're a kid, right? And I realized it's about I need to be able to wake up feeling good today.
Yeah.
Because if I can't wake up feeling good today,
That's all I
I'm
got.
not going to be able to get anywhere.
That's all I got.
I realized that I have to build a practice that I go through every single day to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. Because there's going to be times, it's going to be worse than this. Like,
Facts.
being in the business that I'm in, I know that there's going to be a day when an order goes wrong and it's like $100,000. Like, there's going to be problems. There's also going to be a lot of great things too. But I don't want to change who I am or become someone differently because of those things, those external things that happen. I have to be a rock.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I'll ask you the same question, man. What are telltale signs for you that you're moving in the right direction, that you're doing things the right way, that we are moving in the right direction? Yeah. Like what are your telltale signs?
it's so simple because we knew this before we could even write a sentence on paper, and it's does it feel good? Does it feel right? You know, I've been very data driven in what I do. So I'm staring at screens, going through spreadsheets, and I've sort of lost touch with my creative, carefree side. And I'm planning for the future and thinking. And a lot of these plans that I'm making, they're very incremental. It's like I'm going to do this, and here are the cash flow projections. And
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not very exciting. And it's like I realized that I used to ask myself this really simple question: wouldn't it be awesome if? And if what you're doing right now isn't the answer to that,
If you get right, then something's off.
or in the path to that answer, then you're doing the wrong thing. I promise. You know, it's like, wouldn't it be awesome if I had a beautiful life? What does that look like to me? And that's different for everybody, right? But if it's not something that you would want to watch that movie, you know, you'd pay to go see that movie because that narrative is interesting to you, then don't live it. You know what I mean?
Man, so you were talking about really getting into like learning lessons and like slowing down, and one of the biggest things that has impacted my life tremendously, and Pat Rob, I've probably shared a lot of them with this, is I have surrounded myself with mentors. Man, like I went on like a mentor hunt, man. When it was like one person that I really started to pour into, that poured into me, and I saw the value, and I was like, oh, I'm hooked, man. And then I wouldn't even like ask people anymore. We'd sit down for like coffee one time. I'd be like, are you my mentor now? You know, like I wouldn't give people a way out because I realized like the things that you can learn from people who have been through those situations exponentially faster than you have to go through it yourself, man. I'm not a believer, man, that you got to go through every experience yourself. I'm such a believer that if you learn from those in front of you. My dog Davin, man, he sent me this idea of the canvas strategy, Ryan. And there was a few things I took out of it, man. But to me, it really broke down. And jump in here, man, if I explain this wrong. But this is how I interpret it. Is that essentially, oh man, he started with I wish I could give it the aesthetic that he gave it. But essentially, he said in the Roman times there was a person that would go out in front of the king, right, and make sure that a land was clear. How do y'all try to surround yourself with mentors, man? Like, who do you learn from?
I personally believe that everybody in a sense is a mentor, because everybody's taking a different approach and journey in life, and everybody's learning different things that basically was an obstacle to them that they must have to persevere, and they can use that knowledge and wisdom to pass on to the person after them. And but in a sense of what he said a little earlier, you have to discover yourself.
All right.
And also what Harvey said, man, you have to understand the type of person you are to attract the people that you want to be. So that way you can end up understanding that these people won't be my mentor because these are the people that are in the
They got what I need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're in the environment that I'm trying to be in. And but I believe that a kid can be a mentor. I believe, our elders can be a mentor, but it's all about surrounding yourself by those people in that right environment. And ultimately, if you can gain from it, apply it and then use that same knowledge and wisdom to pay it forward.
So I kind of grew up with not a lot of positive role models, and so I looked at what not to do,
Right.
just as much as
Informed
I
you
looked
just as much.
at what to do.
All right.
And when I did go out and look for mentors, I would find that really I would look for people that would validate my belief system, because they had done what I would or what I want to do, so it made it that much more real. So the biggest impact that I've had in life from a mentor was from my professor at KU, Wally Meyer. He runs the entrepreneurship program there. And I was in a
Shout out Wally Meyer.
Got to shout out Wally, wherever you are. I hope you're doing well.
So I stood out to him because I would always ask a ton of questions in this class because I was genuinely interested. I didn't go to school to get a degree. I went to school because I knew that I needed to know
To learn
what to do
something.
when I left.
Facts.
But I ended up becoming his trainer, and I trained him 3 times a week, and so I would get to talk to him. And it was like the way that we would talk about things, he sort of got on my level, where it wasn't necessarily like he was telling me what I should do, but it's like, all right, here's the plan that we're going to do. And because it's him, like, kind of building that plan with me, it's like, oh, this is going to happen. This is real.
Right.
So I remember there's kind of different planes of existence in terms of like what you believe is possible. And for me, working with him that consistently brought it to like, yeah, this is real. It's just a matter of time.
Matter of time.
You know what I mean? So I would say for anybody looking for a mentor, don't worry about the information of what you need to do as much as like, how do they support you to have the right energy? How do they support you to have the right mindset and belief system?
Davin, man, why did this stick out to you, man? The Canvas strategy.
Oh man, because I'm just passionate. I think everybody's passionate about something, but I'm passionate right now with helping as many people as I possibly can. And it stuck out to me because I was just like, this is what I'm doing, but if I actually am aware of that I'm doing it, and I actually purposely do this,
Right.
and not focus about what I'm doing as an individual, and like there was a quote that stood out to me was be less or do more. So it's not about me right now. It's about the people that I'm trying to help out. It's about what their goals are, because you can't associate a time with when they have, not when they have to, but when they repay you that favor.
Right. Waiting.
When they're gonna support you. So I could do something for you today, and 20 years down the line, if I'm like, bro, I need you to
never
just
know.
come down and come to this event for me.
Sow
You're
the
gonna be
seed.
more reluctant to come because I helped you out.
Right.
a long time
Sow the
ago.
seed.
Exactly. Something that I just was thinking about when everybody was talking is perspective. I think perspective is everything. And we need to pass that along to the next generation. Is like, to me, a mentor is someone that looks complete opposite of me, that thinks complete opposite, because it helps me understand.
Broadens your perspective. Yeah.
I mean, if you have the broader your perspective can be, the more people you can serve, the more people you can help. I think we limit ourselves, like obviously
based on
people
what
that want
we're
your help
comfortable.
and that need your help and all that sort of stuff.
You never know when could be your last day. And I pretty much had that so many near-death experiences that really conditioned me to literally think about every single day, like, what am I going to leave behind? now it's not, it goes back to what y'all said before, you know, like, it's not about us. It's about the people that were impacted. And all of that conditioned me to want to impact people to a whole nother level, you know. It made me want to impact people to the point where it's not just me thinking about my own selfish gains. It's me thinking about what I can leave for people to gain for themselves and spread that to the people and generations to come after them. You know, like now it's like I'm using my life as a vessel for elevation. You know, I want to basically use my life as an outlet or a gateway to show people that, hey, anything is possible. I mean, although like things aren't happening how you would like them to be, when you hit those low rock bottom moments, you know, like it conditions you to be the best person you can be, and that best person you can be can impact people who are watching. You know, so.
I mean, what do you break it down to a moment, man? Is it a continuous stream? What part of your life story inspires you the most, man?
That I'm the product of a survivor. And so in that aspect, somebody had to live and really do some things in order for me to be created, right? And it's not necessarily a bad situation or something like that, but it's the growth process of life that you begin when you try to walk as a baby, right? And everything collectively is something that has captured my attention or motivation or drive or disappointment or sadness. Everything collectively was a part of the process to me being here. It wasn't all good things. It wasn't just all bad things, but a mixture of the two. Sometimes the good moments was letting me know that I was on the right pace, and the real bad moments was telling me that I have to get back here, right? And so it wasn't so much that I needed to change my whole life or what thing affected me the most, but I'm just a junkie for wanting to see myself, my smartest self and my smartest self, my being able to control myself, be poised. Like, I want to be that, like at all times, like being able, regardless of weather, be able to think clearly enough to still make the right decision, period. Like not being affected by what someone else says or what someone else does, but totally secure within myself that I can be a sponge, and within somebody else saying the things that they say, I know which things work for me, and I'm secure in that, right? Period. Nothing else. I just totally want to be absolute. Like sometimes when growing up, like we seen some cool stuff we wanted to wear, but didn't because we thought, man, people gonna go in on me. Right? I can't wear this, even though I like it. I can't do this, man. And so, like, even in that starts the process of thinking I can't really do what I really want, right? And I want to be totally away from that. I don't care what it is. Like, I want to just be me, man, and impact you, because there's no other way that anybody could say it, because you can't be me, right? And so I think the transformation was knowing that once I became me, I had that power. That once I totally moved within me, it wasn't the pitfalls, it wasn't the good things, but once I became me and I realized that I really had influence and impact, that was like, oh. Then it made me always think about the way I walk, right? And letting you see and feel my power without me sometimes even having to speak, right? Because I'm sure, right? And I built up that through certain situations and circumstances, again, good and bad, right? But it's about capturing those moments and literally squeezing it for every amount of juice that it has before you move on to the next orange, right? Like if it's a sour orange, I want every bit of it. Because in that, I'll know exactly what a sour orange looks like, so I don't squeeze it.
Right.
Makes me think about a lot. And what I think about is that besides my little brother and myself, like we are the last of our family with our last name, right? I'm the oldest man in my family. And my dad, my uncle, grandpa, everybody that, you know, could give me knowledge died at an early age, right? And so we never got to see ourselves at our fullest potential and the legacy we left. We never get to see it. And so in a lot of ways, it kind of subconsciously in a lot of ways pushed me to do some things that would leave a legacy. And in a lot of ways be as impactful or just be a solid dude, like a righteous dude, period. Like, yeah, man, just a well-rounded, righteous being, and man, move in your purpose. That is it, man. And it's been a journey just to get to the point of realizing it, right? But then there's an even more beautiful journey of the process of mastering it, right? That this was just the precursor to the real fight, right? Because in this fight, the very people that said they believe in you won't anymore.
And then that's the precursor to the, right, yeah.
You know, so you have to keep moving, man.
I asked that, man, because I've realized that is, I didn't have it, then it got way deeper than, boy, I wasn't prepared for that. But that's it, you know, and I ask it because whether everyone has spent time cultivating it for themselves or not, it has proven to be such a powerful part for me. I hope it's something that you guys each take time to think about in yourselves and break it down and, you know, and really look at your life story and your father and your mother and your grandparents, you know, and really think about what has gotten you here to this day, to this moment. I think it's what keeps us going, man. So I think that's a perfect time to take a break, man. We're gonna eat, fellowship, enjoy the meal together, break bread, and then we'll come back together, man, and close out the show.
Hit it! That's what I'm talking about. Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Oh man, last segment of the show, Innovators Toolbox. We just go around and, man, and everyone, whether it be a reflection of tonight's conversation, whether it be something you're processing in your own life, what is one thing you would leave behind, one statement that you would leave behind in the Innovators Toolbox for tomorrow's generation, man. Ryan Harvey, man, you want to kick us off, man?
Yes. Don't be scared to transition into transformation.
You gotta break that down, man. We normally write them and go, and make it quick, man. But you gotta break that down.
When we think about a caterpillar eventually becoming a butterfly, he has to start the process of the transition, right? The transformation starts within the cocoon, right? And so in a lot of ways, we have to be willing to just simply accept that we're down to start the process, right? And within that, we know that we're gonna mess up a lot, but it's always the hardest the first time, right? We eventually get better, right? But it's the point of we are in the business, right, of pushing people into the transition. We have no power over the transformation,
right?
Because they have to do that, right? But we're pushing people to say, you know what, I'm ready to accept the transition phase, right? Before I even transform, I have to be willing to say yes and be committed to the yes. And you make me committed to the yes, right? So if we get them to do that, they're gonna find the way.
Right, they'll find
they're
their
gonna
way.
drink.
Right, but we gotta get them going.
We gotta get them going to the transition. Right?
I'll take it, man.
Go.
Jay? You're in line, man. You're just going to. No, he's not having it. He's not having it. He's bailing.
Am I up?
Sure, go for it, brother. What? What is Zig when they zag? What's one thing you would leave behind in the innovator's toolbox, man?
Breathe more. And I say that because I think if you're listening to this, you're probably a type A personality, thinking about the future, always caught up in plans and outcomes that aren't right now.
Right.
And I think in order to breathe more, that means that you have to stop your autonomic nervous system because that controls breathing, right? So you have to bring attention and awareness to the moment. And I think that's what we lack or we forget is just pay attention to the moment, celebrate life that is right now, because eventually the moment that you want to come from all the hard work is going to be now. And if you don't practice that, you won't be able to.
Yeah.
So
Breathe more. I love it, man. Davin?
Well, my word was impact, and something for me that I've been really thinking about that's really changed recently is my confidence. So I want to leave behind confidence creates impact.
Very true, brother. Very true.
So true. Do y'all believe in the saying "fake it till you make it"?
No.
How do you interpret that? I mean, what's your belief?
It's just complete bullshit. Just period. Because if we say that in order to manifest it, you have to see it, but you don't see it by faking it.
Right.
Because when you fake it, you're almost putting out the facade that I don't have it. Right? So what we do know is the universe is going to give you where your energy flows, and your energy is flowing into faking it, not becoming it. If you're focused on becoming it, you have no room to fake it. Because in your steps, everybody's going to see you're in the process of. Right? So faking it till you make it is only, you're delaying what you should be in so many ways because you're choosing to fake it instead of choosing to grow. It's bullshit.
My man said if you're focused on becoming it, you have no room to fake it. Facts.
You don't.
Facts. Pat Rob, your word was boom pow. Epic. Best word yet, man.
So pretty much what that is, man, is just, what I want to leave behind is be the architect of a blueprint that is tailored to you. You know, like oftentimes we're always running and chasing other people's blueprint. We're trying to basically use that blueprint to judge how we should move. We use that blueprint to create our future. But oftentimes, man, it's like you have to understand your true identity about what you said and make a blueprint that's geared to who you are. And then use that blueprint to leave behind as your legacy.
Be the architect of your life. All right, Jay, no backing out this time. Rachel.
Where's the breathalyzer? When you're in a desperate spot, you make short-term decisions. They don't pay off in the long term. So no matter how desperate you are, devote a certain percentage of your decision-making towards the long term. And it's going to be different for everybody. It might be when you're desperate, you go all in on the long term, that's 100%, or you maybe only have 2% to give. Whatever you got to give, do that. Develop for the long term, no matter how desperate you are.
You know, they say I'm pretty sure you guys have heard it, but they say in a day your brain only has a certain amount of right choices before it is exhausted, right? So when you see Zuckerberg with the same stuff on every day, Steve Jobs with the same stuff on every day, they don't want to lose or waste a bad decision on what I'm going to wear today, right? And so when I think about that, it's like, man, if I only have a certain amount of energy for right decisions, then I got to make sure at the start of the day I'm giving myself all the things I need to make sure I'm prepared to make those right decisions. Yes, life is going to happen. We know that. We prepare for that. But I want to not be so clouded by that it affects my judgment, right? I want to always be in a place of being able to make the clear decision. Even if I make a wrong decision, I want to be clear enough in the wrong decision that I still commit to making it because I will learn from it.
Right, to know what part of it you need to correct.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jack the Skipper. Skip through life.
Hey, you use the skipper. Oh, no, you can't come with that. Control your own boat.
What's going on here?
Look
Somebody,
at it.
Let's go.
I was waiting for it. I was like,
the perfect fadeaway. Then it hit that'll still be an epic clip.
It would have been epic if it went perfect.
This week, I think that I've learned a lot about putting your focus on like what to do. Like I heard someone talk about productivity this week, and so one thing that I would leave is be very clear on what it is that you are going to do next. So where your focus goes, your energy flows, and do that. Whatever the hardest thing is, do it the first thing in the morning. Like get it done early.
Facts.
Dan the man.
Dan the man.
D Willie.
This week I would say, especially this week for me, it's surround yourself with people who have the same vision and are like-minded. I never really realized how much you can feed off of the people you surround yourself with.
Ooh.
The places that it can actually project you to, rather than like we talked about before, being average, hanging out with average people, hanging out with people that you grew up with just because that's comfortable. Step out of your comfort zone and surround yourself with people that are like-minded.
Critical, man. I almost want to say that every week. Surround yourself with the right people. That's it, man. This is a very selfish motive. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I'm trying to.
You're
so powerful.
You're creating a network.
This week for me, listening to your body. I'm such a planner, and like once a goal is set,
I'm going.
It's gonna happen. I'm pretty stubborn in that way, and sometimes that's just like isn't what's meant to be, and you have to listen to your body and listen to like the world around you and like make smart choices for your like health and well-being. So being able to
Listen to your body.
Yeah,
So true.
let some of that stubbornness go and be healthy.
So true. Listen to your body. Cool. And I'll preface with this. So I was. We had the show lined out, the show laid out, particularly to the guests, and two of those guests were not able to be here today. One guest was gracious enough to leave us with such an amazing man that we got to have conversation with. And I thought for a minute, man, should we try to move it? Should we just roll with it? And something said, and this is so cliche, but it's one of those things that just spoke to me, which was just trust the process. You know, like. We have a recipe for success, you know. We've put time and energy into how we set this up. We're distributing it the right way. We're feeding people. Everything's in place. Trust the process. You know, things are gonna bounce around on you. You're gonna have things that you're not ready for. You're gonna have things that you wish would happen a different way. But when you trust that process, just like you were saying, Ryan, that you'll go far enough in. Focused enough in that even if you're going the wrong way, you know how to correct yourself. And if you don't journey into that darkness, into that uncertainty, almost journeying into that uncertainty with clarity as to why you're still deciding to go, you'll never learn the lesson you needed on the back end to be better. And so from that, I've simply learned, like, trust the process, man. Like, it's all gonna work out. It's good people, it's good food, it's a good time. Let's roll with it, have a good time. Trust the process. Trust the process. All right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm in all black too. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it.
They say that there are 3 levels of conversation. Level 1 is when people talk about other people. We know that as gossip. Level 2 is when people talk about events. There's nothing wrong with that, but this is Level 3 Studio. Level 3 is when people talk about ideas and what's possible. Thank you for tuning in to Level 3 Studio, where we feed your mind, feed your body, without a doubt, feed your soul.
Very good.
It's a wrap.
Yes.